In our Bible reading this week, we're finishing up our work in the book of Ephesians. So you're going to be looking this week at Ephesians chapter 6. And remember, we're doing an immersion read. So the goal is to read this text over and over again, maybe read it in some different translations. And Jeff and I want to talk to you a little bit about some things to look for as you're reading. Not really anything fundamentally new or different about
Very
this
familiar
read.
place.
Well, we've already done
Yeah.
4 and 5, and really 6 is continuing the same thought line
Absolutely.
that followed with the other two.
That's right. That's right. And especially last week, we were in the middle of lists of areas in which people are supposed to submit to the authority in their life. And we pick up here with slaves and masters, which is always a little bit of an awkward one given our, culture now. But I think the larger principle is just all of us have people who are an authority over us in our lives, in our daily lives, and our job is to show them the respect and deference that comes with that position. And that's part of, again, good works. And so your difficult boss, your ornery HOA leader in your neighborhood, whatever. The point is to show honor to whom honor is due and respect for authority. And that's part of, again, the good works.
Yeah, so you're baiting me down so many different rabbit trails when you talk about that, because there's some things to say about the slavery issue.
Yes.
And wow, before you get bought into that biblical criticism, there's some things to be understood there. There's some things to be said about the submission stuff that you brought up and how submission runs through all the different categories of relationships.
Everybody submits to somebody.
Everybody does, and it fundamentally involves the same kinds of things in all those relationships. It isn't about value or intelligence. It's about rank and order.
Well, and the role you've been assigned by providence, by birth, by whatever, trusting in the hand of God that He has placed you where He wants you to be, and accepting that and submitting to the relationships that then come with that.
Now watch how I'm going to take this and actually connect it to good works.
Oh, yeah.
Because this isn't just a rabbit trail, but a teenage child, and if you're still a mom and dad's insurance and they're paying for the cell phone, you're still a child.
If you're eating for free.
Yeah, and living for free. Again, we're on a tangent. Probably doesn't think of submitting to parents as a good work. Just like a wife in a marriage, many wives would not see that as a good work.
Right.
But that's one of the reasons for choosing this reading.
Sure, that absolutely is. Again, we're going back to one of the basic points in the book, going back earlier, one of the other chapters we read, chapter 2, we have been recreated in Christ Jesus, Paul says, for good works. And chapters 4, 5, and 6 are Paul then unpacking what those good works are, both in terms of avoiding some sins and some issues. Chapter 4 especially teased that a little bit. But chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6, Paul is identifying the good works that we have been recreated in Christ Jesus to walk in. This is why we have been saved.
Still working this broader definition of what constitutes good works. So let's challenge that a little bit, because the thing I think we typically associate with Ephesians 6 after the comments to kids is this section picking up in verse 10 with putting on the armor of God. So let's put that under the umbrella of good works.
Yeah, and so I think, especially right as Paul opens that section, verse 11, put on the whole armor of God for the purpose, or in order that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. And so, sometimes people call it spiritual warfare, but the idea that as Christians, our walk with God, our obedience to Him, and the doing of good works is an active resistance to Satan and to sin, because almost all sin involves selfishness, doing what I want, regardless of how it affects God or affects others.
Right.
And so this doing of good works focused on God, what God calls good, and the works that we've been called to do, and how those affect others. That's spiritual warfare against the devil. And again, you look at even some of the aspects of the armor as you go down through there. The breastplate of righteousness. Things like that remind us that it's about not just not doing wrong. The armor involves the right orientation and the doing of right things. Is very much what we're supposed to be doing.
And the absolute necessity of equipping ourselves to go out into culture and face the adversary.
That's right.
2 key ideas there.
That's right.
There is an adversary behind all of this.
That's right.
And 2, the need to be equipped to face off with them and doing well. I wonder if it wouldn't be fair to say that even the process of equipping is among the good works disciples do. We equip ourselves,
Yeah.
good work, to go out and face the culture.
Well, and again, just as we close out Ephesians here, chapter 4, that's why God gave us everything from apostles and prophets to elders or pastors and teachers and evangelists, is for the equipping of the saints to do these things.
So that's our reading this week in Ephesians chapter 6, and we'd urge you to spend some time there. Maybe it'd be a good time to ponder, am I doing the good work of equipping myself to go out every day and face the adversary? And we hope pondering that this week will be a blessing to you.